Hi, welcome back. This is Behind Closed Doors with Josh and Sio. And today, we're going to talk about...
We're going to talk about marriage, the origins, and changes that have happened in today's society related to marriage.
Right. Now, this will be a good one. All right, so the topics of marriage and origins, right? There are a lot of people who I think don't think of, or maybe forgotten, how marriage came about.
I think so. I don't know, when you think of marriage, like, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's a religious experience, or, oh, it's all about love, and that may be what it's partially evolved to.
Right.
But that's not where it started.
No, as a matter of fact...
That has nothing to do with what marriage was.
No, marriage, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the concept of marriage, right? So I'm not trying to take away from that.
Yeah, we're not dissing marriage.
No. Married. But marriage originally was a transaction. And it was about bringing landowners together, property together. And marriage was... It was
about joining families through property.
Right.
Whether it be women marrying another man, whether it was a title thing, whether it was, like you said, joining the property lines together.
Right.
It was a lot of things. But it wasn't ever about love. It wasn't about, hey, I love you, so let's get married.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Like,
you look at the royal families.
You could be marrying your cousin. That's not about love.
So, let's say England and France, right? Back in, I don't know,
hundreds of
years ago, it was trying to keep the peace so they would marry off a princess to a prince. They didn't know each other. They really had no say in the matter. No. They were joined to join the families to increase the riches, the wealth, bring the families together,
to have children,
to continue that hierarchy, that relationship, to tie everything together,
to push the line forward.
It was also a political move.
It was a very political move. It wasn't anything about, like I said, it wasn't really about religion. It wasn't really about love.
And you go back further, marriage was just a way to increase a man's standing. And
for a for a really long time, that's all it was. Women were property to be bartered with.
Right.
And a man, well, he had to do what his family told him because that's what was right for the family.
Right.
Not because he cared about her or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, he would marry his wife and then he'd have his mistresses on the side, which a lot of times were...
concubines.
Well, that or like brothel girls, like prostitutes.
Okay. That's
what they were,
And the reason why we're going back in origins, we're talking about this, is why?
Well, I think there's a lot of misconceptions in today. And I think a lot of the controversy around marriage is when you have ideas that are very outside of what marriage actually used to be. Marriage has evolved a little bit, but a lot of the argument behind marriage, to do it, to not do it, who should do it, who should not do it, is all based on what they're saying the history is. For example, I don't know, whether gays should marry.
Okay.
A lot of people say that it's breaking the religious bounds.
Well, marriage wasn't originally a religious thing.
I know. But that's the argument. The argument is that marriage is something that's supposed to include the husband, the wife, and God. But that's not even how it started.
And I think people think this a lot because a lot of their life is based around their religion.
And that's
and their
fine.
life is their religion, and so
That's fine, but I don't think that gives anybody a right to say, hey, my marriage is more valid than yours.
no, it shouldn't. And then we have this transition, right? We have a transition in society over the centuries of contracts, political moves, land ownerships.
Well, people are trying to make it less contractual and more
of just an agreement.
just because they love each other.
Yeah.
You know,
and they've also as a society or a culture, because even in today's societies, we as a Western culture, we believe that marriage is that of love, right? Two people love each other, so people are dating, they fall in love, the next step is to get married.
But not always.
No, it's not always.
Not always. There's so many people nowadays
Outside
that aren't
of,
even wanting to get married. They're like, nope, we're together. That's good enough.
Right.
Like, I don't want to throw that piece of paper in the mix because somehow putting that piece of paper is gonna like ruin their relationship, which I think is hilarious. Personally, like, okay,
well, I could also
if a piece of paper is gonna ruin your relationship, maybe your relationship's not as good as you think it is.
And you're just staving off the inevitable
Of what?
of separating. And
are you saying that relationships are going to break up and that they're inevitable?
no, what I'm saying is if they think that a piece of paper is almost like a jinx,
Yeah.
then
They think it's a jinx, which
then I don't know. I think that it's important for people to have their own little agreement.
Yeah.
Right? And for the marriage law, right? A marriage between two people, you have rights based upon our society. You have death rights, right?
Well, that's
Family
why a lot
rights,
of people get married nowadays.
insurance
Not because
benefits.
they need the piece of paper, but
Right.
because they need the benefits that come along with being married.
Right. It's a
I
law thing.
need that piece of paper to tell somebody, this is my husband. If he dies, I have rights
Right.
to make decisions about your death, to collect
See me at the hospital.
benefits, to
Make decisions.
make decisions that who else is going to make it?
Right.
Your parents? That's not necessarily fair either. You haven't lived with your parents for decades.
Right.
You know, and
In
the
the same
spouse
token,
should retain those rights.
they
And
should.
I understand why it needs to have that piece of paper, but then by the same token, why are we now saying, hey, these people that have made this commitment that want those rights, why can't they have them?
Yeah. When originally marriage wasn't constructed based on love or religion, marriage was originally an agreement for purposes of contract law,
Very
ownership,
basically, yeah. Yeah.
and so it is that paper, that those rights that the married couples have, and so
Yeah.
to that point is why is it still to this day in our educated
Such a battle.
society, why is it that a gay couple who, if it's just on contract, right, to give those rights, why is there such this wall, this
Between I can have those
border?
rights, I can have this contract, but you can't.
Because my religion says so?
Or because I
it's,
happen to be a female who loves another female, or a man who loves another man. Like,
yeah. It should be given, if the law dictates that a couple needs to be married, to have ownership of those same items and those same rights to make those decisions, a benefactor of an insurance policy, right? They should still have those rights. If we go
I'm
back
glad
to
that
the root
that's the law now.
structure,
But
not everywhere.
Well, no, in all the states, and now is.
True.
It is now, but it's still a very controversial subject.
It is.
And it's not one that's widely agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's enough people in the country that believe the way that we do,
Right.
or it wouldn't have passed.
Correct.
In all of the states. Yes. We're so excited. You know, I think it's a little ridiculous that it's still kind of a fight, even though.
Right. And I'm not saying that people feel the way they do.
No, I think it's fine to feel however you do, but
and there are certain beliefs. I mean,
just think
obviously, we go from religious beliefs are such a dictating factor in the way people run their lives. Now, one of the great things about this country is that we have the freedom of religion.
Yeah,
we have
all get to believe whatever we believe,
whatever we want to believe,
and that's right.
Right.
That
the
I
only
fight
thing
really strongly for.
I agree. The only thing where we have a problem is when those of a religious belief start to impose or try to impose laws that dictate others' ways of living based upon their religious beliefs.
Exactly.
I'm not saying
you
that
have a right to
religious
your
belief,
opinion.
right.
However, you can only act within certain bounds as long as you're not infringing on other people's rights.
Because
when your actions infringe on someone else's rights, as a human being, I think there's a problem.
Right.
That's when I think you need to revamp your way of thinking, potentially.
Yeah, correct.
Or
but
at the very least,
continue
your
to live
actions.
your life. Continue to live your life the way you see fit, as long as it does not impact or impose on the way someone else chooses to live their life, as long as it's within a law-abiding fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since marriage was contractual, bound by laws, let's keep it that way.
Well, I think because I'm a feminist in a lot of ways, because I know the history of marriage, because I don't believe in people owning other people,
Right.
I don't believe in I'm your wife.
No. Oh, so
I'm not your anything. You're not my anything.
Right.
Like, that's not how it is. We're married to be partners, nothing else. You know, to like be partners in life, not to be, oh, well, I'm your da 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 da. No, I don't like that.
We're in it together.
Yeah, exactly.
And we celebrate together. We work through the hard times together. We battle together.
We take our losses
and our
gains together. That's
and we do it
how
together.
it should
It's not that I come home and I make the decisions and
Can you
you're
imagine
there.
that?
So we were watching this documentary last night, and I think you had already fallen asleep. But there was this. It was talking about cooking in the home and doing things like that, where there were times where, the scene was this guy was out with his son. They're outside cooking, and the son asked a question, "Dad, whenever we're inside and we cook inside, Mom cooks, but whenever we cook outside, you cook. So why is that?"
It's a good question.
That was a great
It's
question.
a really good question, actually.
And this was like 50s, right?
Sure.
50s, 60s. And the dad's response was, well, son, your mom is usually a woman's place is in the home, and so if she's already there, then her job is to cook in the home. And I was thinking, I was like, that may have been a thought, an idea, or even a way of life in the 50s.
It was.
And
a woman's place was in the
kitchen,
home. Always making sure that
Before
the kids were
women's
taken
rights.
care of. The man went to work and
Right.
did his thing. He came
It was
home.
a system.
He didn't even do anything. He came home, sat down, was like doing his own little thing until the wife had dinner ready for him. Like,
Right.
We watched A Christmas Story the other day. Remember? Well, that's exactly how it was. It's exactly how it used to be. And
Yeah.
my grandma used to tell me about it. You know what I mean? And it's just so funny because the husband would go to work. He would come home. The wife's place was take care of the kids, take care of the house, make sure everything's always clean, make sure dinner's always on the table. If the husband wanted a drink or whatever, that's how she got out. Like, even in the middle of dinner when the kids were, like, fully old enough to, like, take care of themselves,
Right.
he's like, oh, well, I want this. So then up she went and
So
got him
this-
this. Why didn't he get himself up? Because
The
that's not
scene-
how it was done.
The scene at the table, he was saying, well, my mom hasn't had a hot meal in like 12 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
She finally got everybody served her own plate, sat down. As soon as she
And then
sat
everybody
down,
else wanted seconds.
the
or
husband
they
was
wanted
like,
something else.
hey, can I get some more of this rice and broccoli or something? She's like,
Yeah.
got up, went and got
Gave
us some
him
more.
some.
Came back,
Then the
sat
son's
down.
like, hey, what
Hey,
about
can
this?
I get some more of
Hold on.
this? Got up, brought it back.
Nowadays, get your own butt up. Go get your own crap. Like, yeah, you can have seconds. You know where it is.
Right. Well, we teach empowerment. we teach that everyone is a member of the household and everyone shares responsibilities.
Well, we do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
a lot
I
of
think
people
a
now,
lot of people
both,
nowadays do. Yeah, I do. I think a lot of
both
people
parents
do.
in the homes are majority of homes. Both parents work.
Well, even in, I
Both
think,
come
households where, like, the mom is a stay-at-home mom or something,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the guys nowadays will come home and they'll help out, as well they should. They should not be coming home to, like, hang out.
Read the paper.
Seriously, the thing that ticks me off the most is when guys are like, well, I have to babysit my kids tonight. No, you jerk. They're your children. It's called watching your children, not babysitting. You don't babysit your own children. You watch your children. Why? Because you're a parent.
You are a parent.
I'm just saying,
And if
you're not babysitting your own kid.
right, if let's say the mother was home all day watching the kids, taking care of things,
Which it happens.
and the father comes home and the mother wants some alone time, father steps up,
He should.
watches the
He
children,
should give her
gives her a
some.
chance to
Yeah.
decompress, do what she needs to do. You working together
And
because
the
it's
same,
going,
like if
it's
it's
going the other way
the
direction.
stay-at-home dad or whatever, like
Right.
it doesn't matter like who it is.
No,
Like I think
and
it's
it
perfectly
won't-
fine.
And it shouldn't be just because it's a mom or a dad. You
Yeah.
both work together. You both have equal
You
responsibilities.
should both be able to clean. You should
And if-
both be able to cook. You should both be able to watch the
Right.
kids and be responsible and like do whatever needs to be done to get
But-
the house.
But then there
taken
also,
care of.
if two people want to do certain things, then that is on
That's
them.
between them.
Totally within
That's
them.
entirely with
Like if
between
I
them.
wanted to stay home and clean and cook and do the things, and then when you got home, I wanted to serve dinner and we have dinner, then we hang out. Okay,
That's fine.
that's fine. If that was what we
If
wanted
that's
to do.
what you want to do, that's fine.
Right, but it has to be a two-way street. It has to be agreed upon by both parties.
Yeah. Like you do cook a lot. You
Mm-hmm.
cook dinner a lot of the time, but it's not because you have to.
No, I choose to.
I'm like I could cook.
I like to cook.
You could cook. Even Tiffany could cook.
Yeah.
Or we could go out. Like, it could be anything. Like, there's no, well,
Right,
well, what?
right. So it moves past this patriarch of the family, or the captain, or the boss, or the person in
The
charge.
man of the house.
Right. And
What's like that,
we've
that
gone to
question
more-
that we had on there was a survey on Facebook the other day where people are like, who wears the pants in your family?
yeah,
Like, I don't like that question.
I don't like the question at all.
I don't like that question at all. I mean,
No.
don't get me wrong. I'm very, like, strong in my opinions.
Right.
And I'm more opinionated than you a lot of the time.
Hmm. But when we
But
discuss
we don't
everything
have,
that we talk
like,
about,
listen,
yeah,
here's how it's going to be. No, we don't. I
We
don't
have
do
to-
that and you don't do that. That'd be
No.
hilarious. for either of us, I think, to try that. It'd be like,
well,
I don't know what you're doing, but you can knock that off now.
We have some joking ways to do it, but if it was a serious way, no. Because if you tried that with me, I'll be like, "Are you kidding me?"
You'd be like, exactly, and I'd be like, "You can go right now."
Because
neither one of us would put up with that. It's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. Yeah. Like, there's no way.
No.
I don't know. I just think it's funny, and I think back to like just the whole marriage thing and like how things change, and I think back to like when we got engaged, and I told you, I was like, just so you know, changing my name is non-negotiable. Like, that's a deal breaker for me.
And then I didn't understand why.
Well, you got upset at first, and you were like, why?
Why is that? Why? So
you're like, that's so rude. Like, you're embarrassed
at
me? Like, what?
Yeah, are you embarrassed by me? Or do you not want to be with me? Do you want so all these things were going through my head, and I didn't understand why.
Right.
And
I had to like sit down and like explain it to you. I was like, Josh, it's not personal. And then I like told you about like the history of like where marriage came from, and I'm like, I'm not your property.
Why the name?
Yeah, why does it mean something to me? Like, why is it important? It's not just me wanting to be like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, why does it matter to me?
Being indignant about it.
Yeah, like, why is it a deal breaker for me? Like, if you can't handle this about me, you can walk away.
Yep, there's a road.
Right? But it was because, like, to me, I feel like you have your identity.
I do.
And I have my identity. And I would never ask you to take my name.
I wouldn't want to have you known as mine. Although I'm very grateful.
Well, it's like those ladies that are like, oh, I'm Mrs. John Smith. No, sweetheart. You're not. You're Mary.
Jane Doe.
You're not Mrs. John anything. Your name isn't John. You look at your birth certificate, your driver's license, any ID, it's not going to say Mrs. da-da-da-da. It's going to say your name.
Right. You are an individual. You have your identity. And I totally agree with that.
And that's the thing. I was like, I don't want to be Mrs. like anything.
Yeah.
I want to be me because I have my name and I like my name. Like, that's who I am. Like, that's part of my identity. And that's who you are.
We.
Yeah. There's you, and then there's me, and then there's we. And I don't ever want, like, I never wanted it to be, oh, well, I'm with you because I need you.
No.
For either of us.
No.
Because I don't believe in that.
But a lot of people, and that's for us. That works for us.
I'm never going to be with you because I need you. I will be with you because I want to be, and I would hope that the reverse always follows. Yep. You should never be with me because you need me. You should always be with me because you want to be with me.
Although there are some days I'm like, totally need you right now.
Not because you need me, though. That's because you want to.
Yeah.
It's a very codependent thing for people to be like, oh, I need so-and-so. Well, that's not super healthy.
No, it's not.
From a psychological perspective, that is not very healthy.
And we're not saying that if a woman takes a man's last name, that they're any less of an individual.
No, I think it's fine to take the last name if that's what you choose to do. Like, if you're doing it for love, whatever. Like, that's your thing. You don't have to, like, have my perspective on it. I just tend to think I take a lot of things very literally.
Right.
And that's just my thing.
Right.
So I kept my name. I'm like, look, Josh, we'll compromise. I will keep my own name. You keep your own name. Mm-hmm. And any kids we have can have your last name.
Yeah.
You're like, all right. Because
at the end of the day, it doesn't make us any less of a married couple.
No, it doesn't change anything at the end of the day. I just would prefer to keep my own name.
And you did.
And I did, and I do, and it's always funny when people are like, "Oh, you have a different name." I'm like, "Yeah."
It's less though now. Like
it is less. More and more people are choosing to keep their own name.
Right.
Whether for professional reasons or just because they don't want to. Because it's a super big hassle to go change your name with.
That too.
Yeah, it's hard to go stand in line and get your social card all changed again. I'm like, oh, that's not why I didn't do it. But it's a good reason not to. And then a lot of people, they just don't want to.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny. I think it's a really interesting thing.
Oh, I get it.
Just how times have changed.
Yeah.
It would have never been an option 100 years ago to not take your husband's name.
No, they would have been like, whoa, is she not being a good wife?
No, she wouldn't be being a good wife.
Right.
She absolutely would not have been being a good wife.
She won't be a good wife. You should probably pick a different one.
I don't think it was even an option. I don't think that was even an option back then.
Or a thought.
In the early 1900s, women didn't get to do that.
Nope.
Didn't even have the right to vote.
Wow.
Let alone,
how far we've come.
Not far enough. Yeah, not far enough. I just think a lot of things have, we are getting better and we are slowly progressing, but I see, here's where we are and here's where we could be and here's where we were. Yeah, right. We've come a long way, but man, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, we do.
So, I don't know. I think it's interesting when you think about the past and you think about the present and the future and where you want to go and what it actually means to you and how that dictates your life.
Right. And how we've morphed, or I would say progressed.
Changed.
Right?
Yeah.
And become a far deep... how do I say this? We put more thought into it instead of just going by the flow, right? Keeping up with traditions.
People don't get married as young as they used to.
No.
They are not getting married just because that's what they should do.
Right.
I mean, some people do, but not nearly as often.
Right.
Nowadays, it's more of a because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love the person, you know, and we make mistakes or whatever, and it's not perfect system.
But we grow together. We got into it. We'd agreed to it. We wanted to do it together, and we've learned along the way. You're never fully prepared for it. You just learn along the way, and you learn about each other. You learn about each other's wants and desires.
No relationship's easy. No relationship's easy at all.
And if they say it is, they're lying.
They're lying, or they're seriously in denial, and that means their relationship probably isn't as actually good as they think it is.
Yeah.
It's hard, even for people that have a really good relationship, and are still in the whole Twitter-pated phase.
There will be a hard time.
I mean, I'm just saying, we've married so long, we're not in that Twitter-pated phase anymore.
We haven't been in that Twitter page for a long time.
I know.
But I think it's developed into a different type of relationship.
Well, of course.
And
it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's good.
So, anyway, tell us what you think. What things have you noticed about marriage and how it's changed and...
Right. What are your foundations? How do you structure a marriage and what are your beliefs? Let us know. Let us know what you think. And if you think we're completely off our rocker, tell us that too.
You can tell us that too. That's fine. I'm not going to take it personally.
No. Thanks, guys.
Bye.